Okay, so till yesterday we talked about how do you formulate or how do you design learning objective. What are different kind of analysis that you can undertake in order to reach the objective of a particular ESP course. Okay, so yesterday we ended with roughly designing some of the objective as I gave you for your homeworks. Okay, I'll check that later, but let's see once you have decided about the objective. Okay, so when we decide for the learning objective, they are not sequenced, or they are not necessarily in order, right? So the first thing you are going to do while after you have decided for the learning objective of your particular ESP in the form of EAP or EOP, then you need to sequence it. Sequence meaning you need to order them, what is more important, and then for a particular field, and what is less important, and then what is least important. So there can be different kind of sequencing. We are going to look at that in detail in a while. But what you need to do is the sequencing finally would result in a syllabus. Okay, and for each of the objective that you are sequencing, you are going to look at the achievable goals also. Okay, so what would be the material available to you, and what would be the method you would teach in order to attain that particular objective that you have set for your ESP syllabus. Okay, so um, uh, we are going to read about some of the general principle of sequencing. There can be a number of principles. Okay, there can be a number of bases on which you can sequence your ESP course syllabus and later on curriculum. But we are going to look at some of the general principle of sequencing as given by these two people, Nation and McAllister, in 2010, right? So they have given their suggestions. These are just the suggestions in the form of principles, but there are a number of other linguists also, and then you can get an idea from their principle and can form your own principle of sequencing. It's really up to you. These are just suggestions and maybe some of the options through which you can sequence, you can order the objectives that you have already decided. Okay, and most important thing in sequencing of these learning objective is that they end in the designing of a syllabus and later on a curriculum. Okay, so we are going to differentiate between syllabus and curriculum in a while, but let's see what these two people have to say about some of the principle of sequencing. Okay, now how can you sequence? As I told you, these are principles, these are options, these are suggestions, whatever you want to make out of it. Okay, so you can design or you can sequence your objective progressively, right? Now, what do you mean by a progressive? Progressive means, it can be the movement from general, basic to more specific. Okay, from simple to complex. Okay, so whatever your understanding might be of this word progressive, you can design it in that way, right? So progressively cover the useful language items, skills, strategies, and you're not going to teach everything at once. This is one of the principles. Okay, you're not going to teach all the skills together or all the grammatical items together or all the strategies together. So you would teach them progressively, that one by one. And by progress, that's really up to you. How do you understand this word? The progress can be from general basic to more specific. It can be from simpler to complex structures. Okay, so this is one of the principles that you can look at while you are working for your ESP. Okay, then you can sequence the items, increasing space, repeated opportunities to retrieve and give attention to target items in a variety of contexts. Okay, now what is important in this basic principle is that you are revising it again and again in the whole syllabus. Okay, if you have taught one thing, you're not going to leave it there, but you will continue with it in different ways, for instance in different contexts. Okay, so if you have taught your students or if it was your objective to teach them to start a conversation, okay, or to argue about something or to convince someone, so you are teaching them to do it in one context. Okay, so now that you have taught them the pattern, maybe of greeting, of starting the conversation, so you will keep that in the rest of the curriculum also, so that they have an opportunity to revise, to repeat, and to retrieve the knowledge that they have already gained. Okay, so you would um, give them opportunity. How would you do that? You are going to give them different contexts to practice the same structures, same elements, same skills. Okay, so when you are doing this, you are going to um, set your syllabus that those things are available to the learners as tasks which they can repeat. Okay, they can revise all the time, so that these can be reinforced. Okay, now one way is you take things progressively, one at a time, be them the language items, be them the skills, be them the strategies. This is one way. Another way is teaching everything together. Okay, you are teaching them dialogues along with the structures, right? With the speaking skills. You are taking everything together, and that can be one of the principles, right? As we know that ESP is for a specific group of people, and the course duration usually of ESP is, small. So you might try to teach them a lot of things, and you might try to teach them all of it together. Maybe you plan it that way. So what you need to take care of that, the effect of interference should be little. Okay. So if you are teaching them the skills together, so there shouldn't be any confusion. Okay, or if you are teaching them structures together, maybe you have started with the tenses, so the interference should be minimum. Okay, so this is in relation to the difference between what is meant by progressive and what is another option with you, that you are taking everything together. In progressive one, you're taking one thing at a time, be them the strategies, be them the skills, be them the structures, be them language elements, anything. Okay, and similar to the next principle that we have done, you are taking care of giving them repeated opportunities so that they can practice it again and again, and that becomes part of their previous knowledge. Okay, so what you're going to do and what you're doing, if you're giving them opportunities to practice the same structures in a variety of contexts, you are actually making use of their previous knowledge. You are helping the learners to use their previous knowledge effectively. Okay, you are reinforcing your teaching, and their learning is being reinforced in this way, right? Again, monitoring the learning is very important. you should have breaks within your syllabus where you are going to monitor their learning. They'll be self-monitoring as well, but how can you monitor? You can, you can have checks um, in the middle of your syllabus that you have designed for them. So you will be monitoring their learning, and they can monitor their own learning also, so that they become independent by the end of the syllabus. Okay, let me add few of your class fellows and then we will continue. Now, these two people, Nation and McAllister, they further elaborate on what these principles are about, and they have named at least four kind of strands of learning. What are those strands? These strands are based on the skills, right? So the first skill is meaning focused input, right? And they believe that the student should be exposed to all of these four strands uh, in equal amount of time, right? But the amount of time would vary. Okay, why would it vary? Because you are designing ESP, and some skills would be more important to some learners, and other skills would be important to other learners, right? Um, for instance, if I give you an example that we have been reading, and yesterday also we did elaborate on that. People working in the call center, okay, um, writing skills become less important for them, and speaking skills are more important for them. So they need to be given exposure to speaking skills more rather than writing skills or maybe reading skills, right? Now, the first strand of learning is meaning focused input, MFI, right? Now, this input is in the form of two skills, right? Reading is an input skill, okay, and listening is an input skill, right? uh, which has an output strand also, which is called as meaning focused output. This also consists of two skills, speaking and writing, okay, MFO, right? So four strands of learning. One is meaning focused input, and this input can be given through reading and listening. These two strategies are the input strategies. And how do you find the output of these strategies? Is through meaning focused outputs, right? The third strand is language focused learning, okay. um, this is more about the structural approach, learning the structures, okay, language focused learning. And another is fluency development, right? So fluency, if I say it is not important for everyone, right? Maybe accuracy is more important. For English, for academic purposes, we work towards accuracy and less towards fluency. Okay. Um, that is why, we find that our students are more accurate in their writing and less fluent oftentimes. So these are the four strands, and different amount of time can be given to all of these according to the needs of the learners. Okay. Right. After that, let's come to sequencing in syllabus and curriculum specification. Now, curriculum is broader and syllabus is, narrower. A curriculum may consist of many syllabi or syllabuses. Okay. For instance, HEC has given you a curriculum, and within that curriculum, you have a number of courses, and these courses have their own syllabus. Okay. So objectives are for the syllabus. Goal is for the curriculum. Goal again is a broader term. While we would be looking at goal of a particular program, you would witness for yourself that goals are very broad. Okay. because curriculum has goals and syllabus has objectives, right? So our objectives can come out of the goals of the curriculum. Both should match one another. Okay, so what is a syllabus? How do we define a syllabus? Syllabus is basically selecting and sequencing the content. Okay, so syllabus is selecting, you select the content and then you sequence it. And how do you sequence the content? According to the objective of the syllabus. Okay, because you have decided the learning objective, then you sequence those objective, and on the basis of that you develop a syllabus. So syllabus is the selection and sequencing of content. So as you sequence your objectives, so would you sequence your contents in the syllabus, right? So see, syllabus specify the content and it sequences everything: language, genre, skills, whatever you have to teach. Now as far as language teaching is concerned, or English language teaching is concerned, there are basically 6 traditional English syllabuses or syllabi, right? Why do we have different syllabuses? Because the focus changes, or the goal of each syllabus is different from the other, right? And again, I would recall the methods, right? As we started with the grammar translation method and structural approach, so here also initially there was structural syllabus, okay? Because at that time when we were doing this grammar translation method, or when this method came into being, we are still practicing it in our country, but when this method was created, the focus was on structures. The focus was not on communication. The focus was not on fluency. So later on, with the development in teaching of English as a second language and associated courses, we in this developmental stage, we went through a number of methods, and then finally we reached communicative approach, if you can recall. Okay, so in that communicative approach, structures became less important and communication became more important, right? So that means focus was on the fluency. Okay, so with the changing methods and the development that we have already already seen in the previous module that we did in the last semester, so in that connection, the syllabus went along with this development in the methods. You would see that there was a task-based method and there is a task-based syllabus also. Okay, so one of the many syllabuses is content-based, okay, which is very important in ESP. Content-based syllabuses are those syllabuses in which English is taught through other subjects, the content of other subjects. For instance, in English medium schools, there is a compulsory subject of English language, but then the other subjects are also being taught in English, and students are expected to learn English from those subjects also, even mathematics. Okay, so there are mathematical problems: how many laborers would construct a building in how many days, all of this. So this is in English. Okay, and English is somehow being taught in the classrooms through science subjects also, through subjects of arts as well, through subject of history, geography, maybe biology, chemistry. So this is content-based syllabus, right? English being taught through other subjects. And this is what we did while we were doing analysis, right? So we were analyzing the text that is being used in their classrooms already, and on the basis of that we can design ESP curriculum or the syllabus. Okay, next is the genre based syllabus. Now this is also specific to the field. Okay, what text or what conversation talk takes place in a particular profession, and it is based on that. Okay, it is based on, and it focuses on the construction of written and spoken text of the target text, right, either collaboratively or individually, and then it is sequenced. So it is genre based, specific, field based. Okay, content based, teaching of English through other subjects, right? Notional functional is one of the most important and successful syllabus in language learning. Now, what is notional and what is functional? It has two parts, right? Notion is the idea, function is the actual working. For instance, one of the notion is shopping, right? And what we are going to teach here in the function is negotiating the price. Okay, bargaining. So if the notion, the idea is to teach students to converse while they are shopping, so what function would we teach them is bargaining, maybe asking for the price, negotiating, all of that. Another syllabus is situational, context based conversations. Okay, whatever the situation is, it focuses on the situation, and one of the situation can be, here the example is given of doctor patient interaction. Okay, or formal meetings, right? So that is context based. Except for this one, the structural syllabus, and the rest are based on communicative approach. Okay, because this structural one, it focuses on grammar and vocabulary items, and then how do you sequence it? You sequence it from simpler to difficult, okay, or from easier to difficult, simpler to context, right? Skill based syllabus, you focus on the target skill. As I've already told you that different fields are in need of different kind of skills. All skills might not be needed in a single profession. Okay, so you design a syllabus focusing on the kind of skill that is required by the people who would be learning through your ESP designed syllabus. Okay, then as I've told you that this development of syllabus went along with the development of methods. So as we have task-based methods also, so there's a task-based syllabus where students are taught real-world tasks, not just the imaginary tasks that they would never perform outside their classrooms. These are task focused and these are meaningful with real world objectives, and these are sequenced according to their importance, learners' interest, and maybe difficulty level also. So these are some of the syllabuses that go along with the methods as well. So now you have the knowledge of methods, how to teach, and you have the knowledge of the syllabuses, how syllabuses are designed and how those can be taught. Okay, so okay, so let's move to our next topic. This is just the history. You can read that in the 1960s and 70s there was structural syllabus, and in the 1980s and 90s we came to communication and communicative language approach, and then we developed more advanced kind of syllabuses where there were conversational textbooks, and then EOP textbooks were also there. Okay, So what is happening today is more ESP courses follow genre-based, field-specific, skill-based, focusing on particular skill, and task-based, real-world tasks. Okay, so right now less focus is on the structures, teaching of grammar in particular, and we have already moved to uh, communicative approach and genre-based, skill-based, and task-based, right? Now let's come to the curriculum design. As I have told you that curriculum is a broader term, and curriculum is associated with goals, whereas syllabuses come under curriculum. A curriculum can have a number of syllabi, right? And I've already given you example of HEC curriculum for BS English, where it has a lot of syllabi or modules. Okay, each module comes up with its own objective, but curriculum comes up with its goals, right? So curriculum, um, curriculum is designed for the entire language program. Okay, curriculum tells you the duration. For instance, your duration of BS English is 4 years. Your curriculum says that, not the syllabus. Okay. Then there are overall objectives which come in the form of goals of a curriculum, right? So these goals are formulated in terms of learners' needs, institution vision and mission. I hope these terms are not new for you. As a homework, please find out SBK's vision and mission. Okay, go to their website and you will find out that every organization has its vision and mission, and those are goal oriented. Okay, anyway, what we are looking at now, for example, is ESP program at the Faculty of Science and Engineering, Waseda University, Japan, right? So these are the goals. While we are reading these goals, you will notice that these are very different from objective. These are very broad. Okay. Develop world-class international researchers with an ability to study, discuss, present specialist subject knowledge in English. Okay. So that's huge. Their goal is to bring their student at par with the rest of the world, so they become world-class international researchers, right? And this is one of their programs, ESP programs, which is meant for the Faculty of Science and Engineering. Second goal is develop responsible citizens who can discuss and resolve global issues. Okay, so they can discuss, and this discussion should be in English, right? And we are again talking about a university in Japan where English is not their first language, right? And English is not even their second language. English is a foreign language, but they are teaching their researchers something in English, and they are conducting this English program. So in order to enable them this, okay, so develop valuable members of a dynamically changing and evolving workforce. See, our goals are not really focused, or not as much focused as the objectives are. Okay, so from you can take one goal and then you can make several objectives out of it. Okay, and on the basis of that objective, you can design a syllabus, right? So now, as we already know that ESP program, whether they are EAP or EOP, we assume that there is a baseline proficiency in English of these students. Okay, that is why we differentiate between general English and English for specific purposes. So there has to be, we need to ensure that people who are doing ESP should at least have some baseline level competency in the target language, right? Um, Individual courses within a program are usually sequenced so that they progress from general basic courses to more specific advanced courses. This is how you can sequence it. Okay, so whatever language programs are in one particular curriculum, they should be sequenced, and we know how to sequence. There can be a variety of options to sequence them, right? So general basic are for the freshmen, and then we move on to sophomores. This is the first year students. Freshmen are the first year students, and these are the second year students, a year senior only, right? Now curriculum also tells you about the length of the course. So the length of the course or the curriculum can vary from few weeks, if it's EOP, because people who are already working, they have less time, and they are usually interested in condensed kind of quick courses. So the curriculum can vary from few weeks, and this can go on to an entire year. Okay, so other than that, um, in EOP setting, the goals would be different, and in EAP setting, the goal would be different, right? These are usually aimed at specific workers, and there is less need to achieve a baseline level of competency, especially in EOP. So in this setting, courses at all levels may have an elective or required status depending on the position and role of employee and the company's overall global strategy. So EOP courses are usually short